Then we'll get out of here. Yeah, dogs everywhere. They just won't stop barking. Yesterday, this seemed like a real good idea when I was in the store. Today, I don't know if it's going to work, but I got one of these frozen burritos, and I said, you know, frozen breakfast burrito, got eggs and everything in it. I said, yeah, that'll thaw overnight. Then in the morning, it'll be in good condition, which it is. And I thought, I'll wrap it in aluminum foil and throw it onto that stove. Except, judging from the stove yesterday, I think it's gonna like burn it. But I'm gonna put it on anyways. Worst case, it only cost $1, so we're gonna try this. Now, these things take a bit of convincing to light, but not that much, I guess. Could be worse. So I really put a lot of oil on this because I'm very sure. I'm just thinking back to yesterday when I saw the water boiling. I'm very sure this thing will get burned unless I'm quick on the draw. Yeah. I gave it lots of foil too. Lots of foil. And turning it a whole bunch is also going to be helpful. Okay. Did I call that or what? So if I had something like a frying pan, that would have worked perfectly. But this is still quite edible. Not a problem with this. Cooked a bit unevenly for sure. But beats doing dishes, right? It was $1. Perfect for an overnight camping trip. I'm going to consume my burrito and rip this all down. Get back home. Because I got to edit this up. It's Thursday and I want to do Thursday videos. But if you've watched this far, you may as well just subscribe. Like, you've watched this far, really. And I appreciate it if you do. And I'll try to keep these up. My goal is weekly. Sometimes work and life and all that get in the way and I can't. But that's the goal anyway. And there's people out there I can definitely hear. Yeah, they sounded real close by on that trail. Gotta be a little more quiet. Anyway, I'll finish this up and we're gonna get out of here. Bear spray. Didn't need it. Always good to have. I like convenient stuff. In fact, I deal with convenient stuff exclusively. Yeah. Just like that, guys. No granny knots for this guy. I'd be there till next week untying it. So yeah, the whole hammock thing like bundles up into quite a small little thing. Like that there. Bring my garbage with me. because there's a reason people aren't allowed to do this. Somebody ruined it for the rest of us. So by being responsible, I can at least try to not make it worse for anybody else that wants to do this in the future. People up there, but as far as I'm concerned now, I'm not a camper. I'm just a photographer out in the forest. It's like a marathon. Huh. All right. Anyway, out of here, not a moment too soon. So thanks for watching this vid, guys. And until the next video, you're camping with Steve. And I got some neat plans for the next ones. So stay tuned, guys. There's always more stuff like this. Usually better than this, but wow. What do you do? What do you do?
100% of Purina's power comes from solar and wind investments.
Z-Bar protein snack bars have a crispy crunch and the taste kids love. With organic oats to keep going and protein to keep growing. Because adventure needs fuel.
Hey guys, welcome to this week's Camping with Steve. I am going to do an urban stealth camping tonight. It snowed. It's looking pretty wintry around here. I'm going to slither into that valley over there, and we're going to camp out for the night. Hopefully undetected. As soon as the power of darkness comes, I can get in there a lot less detected. So let's go camping. I had to move a little further into the woods because the spot I had picked out, somebody was already set up there. I saw their shopping cart and everything. So I'm going to set up a shelter first here because it's chilling out fast. And tonight should be about minus 18 Celsius, which will be, I'll do the math. Sorry, I can't just do it in my head. But yeah, very first thing, I got to get a bit of a shelter set up here because that's the only thing that's going to save me. It's getting colder as we speak. I don't have gloves on because I need the dexterity in my hands right now for this setup. So, as always, no fancy gear. I got the cheapest tarp I could grab from a local place called Canadian Tire. And we'll see if we can rig this up as a shelter. It's got this little camping hatchet thing, Woods brand. Not fancy, but when you got a tent peg, anything's a hammer, hey? This will give me a little bit of shelter in there. And if you can't tell by now, I am not a real bushcrafter. I'm just a camper that likes to go out to the city. So I'm just using real cheap equipment that I got from a place here called Canadian Tire, which is kind of like a hardware store. It's got a whole bunch of stuff. It's in Canada.
So get the thermarest inflating. Once I could get in here, that should make things a lot more comfortable, and then we can hunker down. So this is unfortunately step 2 today is the thermarest, and then step 3 is all the other stuff. Then we'll get to the real step 2. I'm gonna try to be as quick and quiet as I can here, because I know they don't want me camping here. But the way it goes. I'll explain more about that for any newcomers. The regulars know what's going on with this urban camping. But again, this was a fairly inexpensive backpack as far as, or sleeping bag, as far as sleeping bags go. They get crazy when you talk about backpacking cold weather. I'll throw this in there and get it locked enough to give me some good heat power tonight. Just about ready to crawl in there. So, in here, out of the direct cold outside, I've lit one of these alcohol gel things. I don't sleep with that on, I'll tell you that. But I have a couple other things up my sleeve in case it does get too cold. An emergency bivvy that I can throw my sleeping bag into. This is made of like Tyvek stuff with a reflective layer inside. And then I have another one of these emergency fuel can things. Really, if it did get that cold, I would just kind of pack up and go back home because I am in the city, but I'm going to stick it through the night for you guys. So I'm going to get comfortable. I'm going to crack a step 2. Angus Monroe. Now, there's a guy. He owns High Country Beer. And I got an email from him asking if I'd like some beer. I said, wow, do you know me? So he invited me down, took a tour of the brewery. It's real good stuff. It's actually made at Righand Distillery. It's a part of that brewery in Nisku, Alberta. So if you're in that neck of the woods, it's worth a try. My wife really loves this beer too. But this is quite good. Today I'm enjoying a High Country Ale, an English ale. Mm-hmm. All right, nothing fancy tonight for dinner, but we'll get to that in a second. I'm just going to enjoy this, and then we'll continue on with the evening. Holy moly, it is cold. I'm going to preemptively put my sleeping bag into this emergency escape bivvy so that I don't have to do that in the middle of the night. And the only thing keeping me from giving up and going home right now is this little can of gelled alcohol fuel. It'll be fine once I crawl into that sleeping bag. But until then, sitting around in this tent is not all that fun. I was going to go outside to do the cooking, but as soon as I got outside, I realized that's not going to happen. So this bivvy I'll keep ready. Hopefully the sleeping bag will fit in it. And this was pretty cheap. It's obviously not serious camping equipment. This is like for an emergency. But sleeping bag, go into there. And I do have, in case of emergency, if there's an animal around, I got bear spray. And that goes for any animal on 4 legs or 2. And I'm going to be cooking probably in here tonight. I have Canadian MREs, they're called IMPs. And it's a little box, got a lot of good stuff in it. So I got to put that sleeping bag in there, work up the courage outside, and grab a couple of the other odds and ends. But this is, I can't believe there's people that actually just live out here year round. Like, I have the luxury of going home. These guys don't. Oh man, it shows you it kind of is pretty tough out here in the winter. That's for sure. But I'm gonna get this all ready. Oh, it's got a nice zipper. Oh, good. The zipper's on the same side as the sleeping bag. Perfect. I was worried about that. Oh yes. It is so chilly that the camera battery didn't want to charge. That's a problem. So I'm gonna get into dinner real quick, and then I got to throw a bunch of things in the sleeping bag with me. And I also wouldn't mind throwing this thing on to cook the meal with. So this is just one of those isobutane cylinders, which also they don't like to work when it's really cold. So it's another reason to get going. This little stove that screws onto the top of it, picked that up at that Canadian Tire place, I think, for $20 or something. So you don't need really the best gear. Of course, it makes it easier, but it's not necessary technically. So we're going to crack open a Canadian IMP, Canadian MRE version. It's loaded with stuff. I'm not going to be able to eat it all. These are for hard working men in combat. And all I did was walk out here and just set up a tent. So I'm not going to need quite this much nutrients, but inside of the MRE pouch, you've got your main entree. And in this case, it is turkey with orange sauce. And that comes in one of these pouches. And I'm going to put that in a little bit of water in a pan to warm it up. When I get to that. But I'll just show you every other neat little thing in here. A dessert pouch comes in the same type of foil container guy there. For dessert, sliced peaches. I don't like peaches. Okay, moving along. Oh boy. There is a hamburger bun. That's concerning, but what else do we have? Reese's Pieces peanut butter candy. Well, that's okay. That could be nice. Oh, some tropical trail mix. Little strawberry jam. Oh, some espresso roast coffee, along with the coffee whitener and some sugar. There is a Frank's Red Hot, because that stuff goes on just about anything. There's a drink mixing pouch where you can put your proper levels of water in there. Of course, you've got your utensil. Stuff keeps coming out of this like a magic bag. Oh, some Tic Tacs for afterwards. And a couple more goodies in here. Peanut butter, because that's high in nutrients. Grape sports drink. A hand wipies. And the coolest thing that they throw in is a book of matches. So clearly, I'm not eating all of that. Basically, I'm going to eat this, may have some dessert, then I'm going to hunker down. So that's everything in the MRE, or the Canadian IMP, and we'll get this cooking. This I got to be careful with, because if this spills, I'm going to have a bad night. But there's no way I'm cooking outside right now. It shouldn't take too much time at all. So yeah, we are in the city, and it is $100 fine to be camping in these parks between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. So I'm not even breaking the law yet, but I'll be asleep when I am. So it's similar to the fine like walking a dog off leash when it should be on a leash, jaywalking, that type of thing. It's a ticket, not a criminal offense, and it's public land. They just don't want you camping here at night. So I understand what they're getting at, but unfortunately, I like camping. So that's what's going to happen. So I do have a group of people I met for coffee the other day. They have a little camping group and they invited me out to coffee and whiskey. And they are subscribers. And I said, yeah, I'll come out for coffee for sure. They generously gave to the beer fund, which, you know, I'm not drinking a whole lot of beer on this trip because I'm carrying it all. But a lot of beer goes into the planning and editing and sitting around answering comments. So thank you to those fine folks that I met out there for coffee. And also to everybody that's donated to the beer fund. I'm just going to dump this water out the door. And there's a lot of ventilation, so there's no danger about this being too humid. Anyways, all the other gracious benefactors that have donated to the beer donation fund, you're really making things a lot more easy on me, because I'd be out here with my crummy old sleeping bag and not nearly enough beer or rum, etc. So thanks to everybody. And I know I haven't done much on this trip, but I usually get out a little bit earlier and do some stuff. So please subscribe if you can handle this type of camping. It's always something different, usually. I'm just going to take a bite of this and see how it is. It smells good. Yeah. Unique. It's got little pasta bits in there. Part I'm most scared about is the hamburger bun. And I know I'd get questions if I didn't open it up to show what it looks like, but okay. It looks like, oh boy, it's crumbly. Well, there's a bit of a staleness to it, but clearly there obviously would be. Okay, I wouldn't try to put a burger in it, but I'm gonna dip it into this pasta sauce and see if that helps. No, nothing. But in combat or something, this would be just great. And I used to be an air cadet when I was a kid, and on a survival camp, we did have these. The bread was always something to be explored delicately. Okay, I'm going to focus on this, and then I'm going to crawl into here because I just can't wait to get into this sleeping bag, and then we'll continue in the morning. It should warm up by then, but it's about -11, -12 Celsius right now, which is, anyways. Yum, yum. Good morning. It is very challenging to try to stay warm with just a thin tarp, but I did it. I got through the night. I'm gonna get outside, cook some breakfast, pack up, and get out of here because I'm gonna have to reevaluate my gear. That was chilly. It's warmer than it was last night. My phone is saying it's about -6 degrees Celsius right now. Last night, closer to 16 below. But I'm going to cook some breakfast, pack this up, and get out of here. Not a lot of traffic on those trails right now because the weather is so miserable, and I'm the only one nuts enough to be out here doing this. So I'm going to start this up. A subscriber told me a good hack. You take a water bottle and a funnel, you put your eggs in and shake it up and put in stuff like an omelet. So it actually looks awful, probably because I put mushrooms in it, but it looks severely disgusting. I'm going to try and cook it up anyways. I'm sure it's fine. Maybe next time I just won't put the mushrooms in because I think that's what did it. Oh, I should have started that a little bit earlier because that's nice and warm. Here goes another. Oh man. No mushrooms in it next time. Better be better now, folks. Oh man, what have I done? What have I done? It smells okay. You can see the color of the mushroom is permeated through the egg, so I leave the mushrooms out in the future or add them on the spot. But tastes like a scrambled omelet to me. So that will warm me up nicely. And that egg mix, anything that'll freeze, put in the sleeping bag with you. That's I learned the hard way a few years ago. Cell phone. I had to put battery for this camera in the sleeping bag with me. A bottle of water in the sleeping bag, because it'll just keep warm enough that it won't freeze on you. So I'm gonna chow down on this, and then we're gonna get out of here, and no one will be any the wiser unless they watch this video. Okay, that's good. Things, of course, never go back into the bag as nicely as they do when you're sitting in a nice warm home, taking your time packing it legally. But when you do it in a frantic rush, obviously it's a little hard to get it all in. But I'm gonna get out to the car before anybody catches on to my escapades out here. You know, of course, just going for a walk with a big backpack on. That's all I'm doing. Get back up there. I think there shouldn't be anybody around now. Huh. It was a fine spot for the night. Better than I left it. Well, the same. I didn't pick up any garbage today. There was none to be seen. I've made it back to the car and loaded up. I'm gonna get home to edit this. I know this type of camping isn't everyone's cup of tea, but there's a couple channels out there that do some more survivally extreme bushcrafty stuff that you could check out if that's what you're looking for. And if this is what you're looking for, I'm glad you found it. Please comment if there's any tips you got for me, any ways to stay warm, any meal hacks, that type of thing. And we'll see you guys on next Thursday's video. So until then, you're camping with Steve. Thanks, guys. Hey, welcome to this Thursday's Camping with Steve adventure. We're here trying out summer gear in a winter camping situation.